Blam!
Death cakes.
Welcome to another episode of Movie Morons. I'm your host for today, Holden, and this is my co-host, Jackson.
Hey guys, how you doing?
All right, Jackson, so I got another one for you. This is a sequel to Christopher Nolan's movie, Inception. But the movie begins, it's like a nightmarish, red skies, rocks are floating in the air, it looks apocalyptic. That's how the world looks.
Okay.
We see a person running, and we find out it's Joseph Gordon-Levitt's character from Inception.
Okay.
I don't remember his name.
Yeah, JGL.
Fancy vest guy.
Fancy vest man.
Fancy vest guy, and he's running, and you don't see what's chasing him, but he, as he's running, he looks back, and you see a horrified look on his face, because he's just so horrified at what's chasing him.
Okay.
But he finally ends up on a cliff, and he has no choice but to jump. He'd rather jump than face what's chasing him.
Okay.
But as he jumps, he wakes back up, because in the movie you die in the dream, you wake up in the real world or whatever. So he wakes up, and he looks around, and there's a little girl laying in a bed. She obviously looks like she's like in a coma. She's comatose, she's got IVs and all that stuff hooked up. And, there's a man in a suit, and he's like, is she all right? And he's like, sorry, the extraction didn't go as planned. It didn't happen the way I planned it out. And he's like, what are we going to do? She's trapped in her mind, and we don't know what's going on with her. And he's like, maybe I think I know somebody that can help. And as he says that, the camera pans out to reveal that they're in the White House. So the little girl is the president's daughter, and that man is the president.
So the president had hired Joseph Gordon-Levitt to go into his daughter's comatose dreams to try to extract something, right?
Try to get her back.
Get her back.
She's comatose, but there's no brain activity.
Yeah. He's trying to incept the idea of wake up from your comatose.
Yeah. Well, it's just like somebody did this to her, something's going on, but it's kind of nefarious reasons why she's in this coma. But I won't get into it yet. But it cuts to Leonardo DiCaprio's character. Now, since Leo's won an Oscar and all, he'll want to come back and do a franchise.
Oh, yeah, he's ready to do
He's
sequels.
done. He's ready to make money now. So he's, living it up with his family, with his kids and his, Michael Caine or whatever. He hasn't gone into anybody's dream because he's never had to. His life is a dream now. So he is able to, just relax and, drink pina coladas or whatever. But Joseph Gordon-Levitt comes to his house and he says, listen, Cobb or whatever his name was. Cobb, we've got a situation. I've tried to go into this, little girl's dreams. A force of nature stronger than any normal person in her mind when she's sleeping. And so he's like, no, I'm out of the game. I can't deal with this. But Joseph Gordon-Levitt, is like, it's a little girl. She's innocent. We gotta help her. So Leo finally is like, okay, I'll help. And he goes to the White House and is like, okay, first I'm going to, go into her dreams and, just try to, figure out the lay of the land a little bit.
Okay, do some dream recon.
Yeah, do some dream recon because, if they just go inside, they can just die and wake up. It's not like they'll go in and die.
Yeah, that they're worried about it.
Yeah, they're not too worried about it because if they do, they just wake up. But he goes in, and once he goes in, it's like a little girl's bedroom. And the little girl is sitting there like, in a pretty princess dress or whatever, and she's like playing dolls or tea parties or whatever. Whatever little girls do.
Yeah.
And he comes up and he's kind of talking to her, and he's, hey, I've got a little daughter too, and she draws, pictures like this or does this stuff too. And he's kind of trying to coax her.
Well, with a tender moment for Leonardo DiCaprio.
Yeah, to get some Oscar.
Maybe low-key get him another Oscar.
Well, not really, because it's more like trying to coax her back into waking up.
Okay.
Yeah, so as Leo's sitting there, trying to coax her out of, the dream state that she's in, he's kind of like, hey, why don't, we get out of this dream? We can, play in real life or whatever. And then the little girl turns and goes, in your dreams! And, it's got this deep, scary voice. And he's kind of like, he's kind of taken aback because it's just a little girl.
Exorcist.
And this voice is coming out of it. And he's like, what? And then, she, stands up and really raises her hand. And you see that her hand is a claw, his clawed hands. The hands of Freddy Krueger, of course. So at this point, you realize...
So that's the twist.
That's the twist. Freddy Krueger has invaded this little girl's mind. It is just wrecking shop in there. destroying it and stuff like that. She's got the claw handy, and she starts singing the song, 1, 2, Freddy's coming for you. So as she's like walking towards Leo, but Leo can't run because he looks around and there's no doors in the room, and he's like, no, and he's like trying to figure out. And as she comes closer, she swipes at him, and he wakes up in the president's, in the little girl's room, and he's like, oh, this is, something that I can't deal with on my own. So he gets the gang back together. He gets, Tom Hardy, Ellen Page, JGL, and you don't need Ken Watanabe because he was just there.
He was just the business guy.
He was just there to.
You get Michael Caine.
Yeah, he goes to Michael Caine and he kind of tries to figure out what's going on. He's like, Michael Caine, have you ever heard of anything like this? And he's like, well, I have heard of something like that. I have heard of the rumblings of a scarred man with claws trying to, get at children in their dreams or whatever.
The greatest inceptor of all
time. The greatest inceptor of all.
Father of modern incepting.
You can call it the father of modern inception. He kind of figures out what's going on, that he was, a pedophile that was burned, and in order to bring him in to the real world, you have to grab him. You have to go so deep into the little girl's dream that once you grab him and wake up, you'll have him and you can beat him up or whatever. So he assembles his team. He's got, it's him, Ellen Page, and JGL go into the little girl's mind, and Tom Hardy's out there to monitor and to be there for when they bring Freddy back. As they go through the dream world, it's like I said, it's still the nightmarish red skies, rocks floating in the air and stuff like that, and they're traversing the world, and eventually they come across a comatose little girl, and they're like, okay, this is the little girl. We'll incept her mind and go even deeper. So Leo and Ellen Page incept her mind, and JGL stands out to monitor and watch them. Leonardo DiCaprio, Ellen Page wake up, and they're in a boiler room. Classic Nightmare on Elm Street boiler
room, yep.
Where they're looking around and you see the claws scraping against the metal and stuff like that. Very very classic Nightmare on Elm Street.
I was going to ask, are we going with the Robert Englund classic Freddy or the new Rorschach Freddy?
No, we're going with classic Robert Englund.
Okay.
Because
no Kelly from Bad News Bears.
No Kelly or Rorschach. We're going straight original because this isn't going to be like a scary Freddy. This is classic Freddy. Cracks jokes, does all that stuff. Does all of his shtick.
Does a shtick.
So, they see Freddy's, come in and he's scraping against the metal, causing sparks, and they're like, oh my gosh, it's Freddy. And they start running, and they come across the little girl, and she's like, come on. And they go through this door or whatever and escape Freddy. But all the while this is happening, Freddy is attacking JGL on the outside. So JGL eventually runs into a hallway, and we have a similar fight to Inception with the spinning hallway. And JGL's fighting Freddy in the spinning hallway, but he eventually is able to beat him.
Takes Freddy's hat and throws it.
He's like, my hat!
My hat! Yeah, he's like Indiana Jones or Jack Sparrow. He's got to go get his hat.
What happens is eventually they escape from Freddy, but Freddy catches up to him and kills the little girl. Maybe more it's whoa, goes inside of her or whatever, and she's gone comatose again. So they incept her again. In her mind, and Ellen Page is kind of it's too deep, you might not be able to come back, and he's like, I gotta try. So he goes back in. It's Freddy's got her, and he's like, I'm gonna kill her if you come any closer. And he's like, hey little girl, this is your dream, he's just living it, you can decide what happens in this dream. And so she's like, I can, and she creates some cool transformer thing that fights Freddy. Eventually Freddy wins, but the little girl is able to hold him off long enough for Cobb to grab him and then jump off the cliff. And as he's falling, it's kind of in the first Inception, where as they're going back up the levels and they're both waking up, it's he's waking up from each level with Freddy.
Yeah.
And so when he wakes up in the little girl's bedroom, he wakes up and he looks over at the little girl. You can see that she's awake now, and that's kind of oh man, it's kind of a nice moment because he's like, I did it, I saved her. But then Freddy pops up from the bed, and he's like, ah!
Classic.
And Tom Hardy's there, he shoots him with a shotgun or whatever.
It's like, "Incept this, bitch."
Yeah.
Looks like Freddy's about to get fingered. Looks like you brought a knife glove to a shotgun fight. So, who would be directing this?
Chris Nolan.
Oh, so Chris Nolan's coming back.
He's got to come back. Chris Nolan.
You wouldn't get Wes Craven.
Well, Wes Craven has passed, so obviously we can't bring him back. That would probably be my ideal choice. But Chris Nolan, is familiar enough with dreams and the characters of Cobb that he'd probably be able to create a nice story to go alongside of Freddy Krueger.
That he'd want to go ahead and take his characters and, bring them into that Freddy Krueger world.
Yeah, because like I said, this movie is about making money.
Yeah, that's a good one.
Well, there you have it. Inception 2, A Nightmare on 1600 Pennsylvania Avenue. Make sure you like and subscribe, and let us know what you guys think down in the comments below. Would this be a great movie picture, or would it be garbage? But let us know. And for Movie Morons, I've been Holden, and this has been Jackson.
Have a nice day. I was wondering if you had any advice for a fledgling YouTube channel like ours. Well, maybe not ours. We have a friend YouTube channel that's fledgling. Ours is doing fine.
Ours is doing fine.
But was it? With his channel only having 18 subscribers, we have no other choice but to brand him
A liar!